set, Shane.
Call this meeting to order. If everyone will stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council has their agenda before them, pretty simple tonight. Any changes or motion we approve?
Make the motion we approve. Make a motion we approve. Make a motion we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Are there any announcements this evening? No announcements? We have two signed for public comment. First is Mr. Jack Walsh. If you will step to the podium and introduce yourself for the minutes.
My name is Jack Walsh, and I live over on Warlick Road. Do I have 3 minutes? 2 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
3 minutes.
All right. So who's that guy? I'm that guy. All right. I'm concerned about a couple of things going on in this part of Henderson County. It started with a larceny that took place on my property. We knew who it was. There's been an apprehension warrant since, but I know the sheriff has done a good job with drug houses throughout the county. I know that the Planning and Zoning Board has certain standards for Mills River, but what I found out this week is there's not a minimum housing standard for the town of Mills River. There is for the county. I think we're better than that. And I think at the very least, we should have a minimum standard, power, water, sewer, those kind of things. If we don't, I don't think it reflects good on what we're trying to build here in this part of the county. So knowing that there are abandoned vehicles that are a violation of code, we're a reactive town versus a proactive town when it comes to enforcement. There is none, unless I come down, fill out a paper, make my name public or anonymous. I'm not hiding behind making my complaint. But if we're gonna have code, and I know Jim is part of planning, I see Jim every week. I think if we're gonna have it written, we need to enforce what's written and not just wait for somebody to get so mad that they come down to council or come down to the sheriff's department and pound their fist. And I'm not a fist pounder, but I want my property back. And if we were more diligent as a community, not just as a neighbor, we could probably control a lot of the houses that Lowell's trying to shut down. And we need to be proactive as a community. When I found out this meeting was tonight, you ask who I was tonight, you're gonna see a lot of me. I promise you.
Hey,
Because I'm not gonna lay down in my town and be a reactionary community. I want us to be in front of it. Because if we're denying what's going on here, if we're not driving up down Warlick Road and some of these other streets that are great bypasses for people to get from Banner Farm to Turnpike and to get to 280, to get to 191, it's not a good reflection. And so we need to be attentive, not just as a neighbor, but as the people who are part of writing policy for our community. Don't just write it and then put it under the rug and forget it exists and wait for someone to get so mad that they have to come down here and do this. You know, and people say, do you have better things to do with your time? No, I don't. This is the best use of my time because I'm on record. I guess that's my warning. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And next we have Jim Foster.
Okay. Is this microphone on?
It is, and Patty has your turn.
It's on here. No, I'm a mic man, you know. Well, it's good to see everybody. Hadn't seen some of you for about a year or so. And it's been a trying year, to say the least, for a lot of people. But thanks to great town staff and the council for working throughout this with very little disruption for our way of life here in Mills River, we came out pretty good, I think, overall. And I've just been looking over, I know we're going to be discussing the proposed budget tonight. I know there's one great thing, there's no tax increase in that. That's great. And that's great news. And thanks again to our great staff and council for working so hard to accomplish this. I got three quick things I want to ask you to consider. And that's my reason for being here tonight. I understand there's going to be a, quote, stimulus payment of somewhat over $2 million coming to Mills River in the future. And I would like to ask the council to give serious consideration, if possible, to using some of this money to improve broadband and expand service in Mills River to include additional providers if necessary. Number two, improve and expand cellular service in Mills River. And number three, make sure that staff has the tools to continue and improve broadcast of all the official meetings with an improved audio and video equipment package. And that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, to the consent agenda, is there a motion that we adopt?
Just one quick thing on the minutes. Sue, I was the one that made the motion to deny that rezoning request, and Brian was the one that amended. That's probably my fault. I probably wasn't speaking under my
Which page you
Number 5.
on? Number 5 at the bottom.
Yes,
So I just need to switch it.
please.
I can do that. And yes, sometimes I'm looking down, right?
I understand.
Don't hear well enough. Okay, you fix it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, for our regular agenda tonight, we have public hearing for budget fiscal year 2021-2022. I will make a motion to enter into public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor of entering into public hearing? Aye. I'm off.
One moment, I have a quick presentation to pull up and then we'll get started.
We'd expect nothing less.
What's that?
We'd expect nothing less. So if I find minutes, we just swap out the page
Yes, yes, that would be great.
without reprinting the whole thing.
We'll see.
Sure.
I think it's good. Okay, good evening, everybody. Hello, folks in Radio Land. Tonight, we are, council is conducting a public hearing to adopt or to consider adoption of the fiscal year 2021-2022 annual operating budget and capital improvement plan. For the benefit of the public, I'm going to do just a quick recap of the budget. I'm going to explain my $1,725 error, which is actually $1,475. I just can't seem to get that one right. I'll explain that in a moment. And then just do a quick highlight of the budget itself. So just to recap on the calendar, we started this in a formal sense back in January visioning. It's been through several reviews by this board, staff, and the finance committee. Finance committee did meet in May and had approval of the budget. Tonight is the public hearing. If council so desires, it may adopt the budget this evening, or can wait until June 24th. The deadline for adoption is July 1st. Bills River provides the following services: fire, law enforcement, planning, street lighting, parks and recreation, and new this year is street maintenance. That is in reference to the POW bill program the town has entered. All the paperwork for that has been submitted, and we're ready to report everything on July 1st. So that's, you probably noticed in the budget last month that there was a large increase in the street maintenance line item expenditure, and that's to account for the revenue coming in from the state. Just quickly to overview, property tax rates are not changing. The town and North Fire Department are going to change. Property valuation is just over $1.4 billion. Collection rate we're anticipating is 98%. Capital investment is $771,225, which in the budget includes the cost of living adjustment as well as a merit increase for eligible employees based on performance, for a total budget of $4,926,100. Quickly on revenues, you've already seen this once. This has not changed since the budget presentation back in May. Again, you can see the largest percentage of the town's budget is covered by the ad valorem tax revenue, property taxes, followed by sales tax, which is listed as state share revenues, and then varying other degrees of revenue. A transfer from fund balance is reported as revenue, and that money is intended to be used solely for capital projects, not for any operating expenditures. On expenditures, the one thing that I did need to correct was on capital. The website expense was incorrectly listed in your previous packet. I believe it was listed at $28,500. The actual cost is $29,975. And the price has not changed. I simply entered the information wrong. So I corrected that in this version of the budget. And to cover that without adjusting any of the other budgets, $1,425 was pulled from the administration's contingency line item, which is why the administration budget, actually the administration budget didn't change. The money was just, I'm sorry, it went down by $1,425. The overall budget did not change. Basically just reallocating funding that was the contingency to begin with. So again, the original budget listed the website cost at $28,500. The actual cost is $29,975. And there was no change. That was simply a mistake on my part. Then capital expenditures. We have updated the capital improvement plan to reflect the future years ahead of us. And that is what is listed. What you see on this particular chart is what's budgeted for the upcoming year. The majority of which is the Parks and Recreation, and the majority of that piece of the pie is the new picnic shelter that we talked about. And I think given the volatility in the construction market, if this remains in the budget, it's best if we wait until probably at least the end of the calendar year before we tackle that. The prices that we got were last year, basically at the start of the pandemic. And we tried to get revised numbers this year for it, but everyone that we asked said that their prices were good for about a week. And some of them didn't even bother. So I think it's wise to fund this line item, but hold off on actually doing anything with it until later on in the year. No changes to this except for the community development, which is in purple. That $29,975, that accounts for the mistake in the budget I made last month. And then next step, to wrap things up, tonight's public hearing. Council so inclined, it may adopt the budget. It would certainly wait till the 24th. July 1st is the deadline for adoption. And that is all that I have for presentation. I'm happy to entertain questions.
Bill, on your first slide,
Mhm,
it said tax rate
mhm,
.19.
mhm.
He said, I thought I read in the paper that it was 18 the other day.
I don't know if it was incorrectly stated. I did not read that article. I think, don't you want the one from the Times News?
Yes, is that, what it done is that it had Henderson County listed
Mhm,
and all the municipalities.
mhm.
And I think it said 18 cents.
That was a misprint if it was, because the rate has not changed. It's from what was originally presented to you back in May.
So,
8 cents for the town, 11 cents for the fire department.
okay. Well, is that, I just want to get that out. Is
Okay.
that the fire department is 11 cents.
Right,
And the town is 8 cents.
that's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Obviously, if no one else can present to us on the budget. Is there public comment from our public about our budget? Okay.
So this covers the whole budget, the questions right now, is that right?
Mhm.
Right. Is that, I appreciate the town not going up on their tax rate. I would really love to see the 1 cent out of that current tax rate go to future expansion of the town hall.
Mhm.
And I'm okay, is that, I think you said that you had 3/4 of a cent.
That's right.
I'm okay to start off with that, I guess
Okay.
is the word.
Okay.
Now, can you talk about the programmer position for just a second?
Sure. Is there a particular question about it, or you just want me to describe the position in general and what they would be doing?
Is the programmer position in this budget?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So if we approve this budget, I have concerns about a programmer right now.
Mhm.
So theoretically, what is your schedule roughly for getting a programmer?
I'd have to look back at the budget document, but I believe,
That's a loaded question.
depending upon, quite frankly, schedules and workload, I think we were hoping to post the position in August and then go through the hiring process and get somebody on board this fall. I apologize, I forgot my packet on my desk. I don't have that personnel request in front of me.
I know.
So you're thinking about having this programmer on board
I did an extra.
end of August, 1st of September? Is that roughly?
1 second to look at my notes.
Okay.
I'll give you a firm answer. Sorry about that.
Target date was September.
Yes. Yes, that is correct. Thank you. Madam Chair. Recommended target month to fill the position was September of 2021.
Personally, I think that we can hold off on this programmer's position and rethink this maybe towards the first of the year, first of the calendar year.
Right.
So is it your intent to hire a programmer this year then, maybe?
That was the intent with the budget request, yes, to hire someone.
We've spoken maybe about, redirecting, I spoke to you one time about redirecting that into another position, a maintenance type position.
Right.
So your intent is to go ahead with the programmer, right? So what you're saying?
When we were preparing the budget, we talked about the possibility of 2 positions, and both of them would certainly be beneficial. But we were looking at programming as the higher priority, because at that time we had a reliable mowing contract. That company has since dissolved and hired someone else, so we have June and July covered, I think, and then we need to look into either hire someone new, or we could bring that in-house if we had a maintenance position fulfilled instead of a programmer. And I did compare costs for that. If you give me just one moment, I'll pass those out, and you can see exactly what that difference is if you'd like to.
Hang on, this is my last one.
Jim, if you need one. We have two.
So I put together a comparison of the two positions. One of them is, the top one on the spreadsheet I just gave you was a recreation program, and that's what we had originally requested as a budget, but the salary up to $44,000. Doesn't mean that we would hire at that range, at that amount. Then I included all the benefits and everything, so the total price for that, total cost to bring that person on board would be just under $68,000. For a park maintenance technician, which would be the maintenance position, groundskeeper, type of responsibilities, total cost of that would be $56,777. So if you look below that, there's position savings. That's the difference between the recreation programmer and the park maintenance technician in terms of salary and benefits. Below that is P&E savings, which is programming and events, for a total savings of $41,207. If we hire a maintenance technician, we would need to hire an additional mower to help out with actual mowing. And we're estimating that at $18,000, which is a total savings based on the original presented budget, compared to hiring a park maintenance technician is $23,000. So the benefit of having an additional maintenance technician is basically we would be able to handle all of the groundskeeping in-house. We would have enough personnel to do all of the mowing, all of the trimming, all the edging, everything else associated with lawn care. Baseball was fairly busy this year, so we need to spend a fair bit of time doing that. And there's only 2 employees in that role right now, so a third one would be able to provide additional backup. There has been an occasion or two when both of them have been out for sickness or what have you, which leaves Nicole to try to scramble some of the part-time personnel to fill the needs, or call on someone, a contractor, to come in and mow, which we've been fortunate to be able to do on the rare occasions that's happened. If you decide to go with a recreation programmer, again, the benefits of that really is being able to host events and provide programming for the community. Originally, our priority was programming, but that's not because we don't need a maintenance technician. We were just not comfortable with requesting both at the same time for just being conservative with the budget.
So Danny, would you say that it's fair to say that this is an either or proposition? The reason I ask that is because I can definitely see the wisdom of bringing mowing and maintenance in-house and controlling that and not outsourcing that to another firm. On the other hand, we just got done through a parks plan process where we surveyed the community, and 95% of the respondents said they wanted programming. So we kind of caught between these two very reasonable forces here, and wondering if there's some sort of compromise that we made where we could have both. I mean, is park maintenance, is that a year-round position, you think? It is.
Yeah.
Okay. For this budget cycle, is it possible that we could get through the fall events with current staff and then look at the programmer for maybe first year or something like that?
We could, I would say we could reasonably expect to be able to do a movie night in the park this fall with existing staff.
What about the Santa event?
If we are able to do that, it will likely be scaled back a little bit compared to what it was last year.
So the $30,000 that's in here for programs and events, that's money that would be spent towards promoting and setting up and equipment for the events the programmer would then be responsible for putting on. Is that correct?
It's a combination of both. If we didn't have the programmer position, the programs wouldn't really be required. The movies, which is in that top table I gave you on the parks example, movies for $6,000, that's the cost of 3 movie nights. So the program fees below that would be if we had a programmer, having programming, buying supplies and all that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You see the difference there?
I do.
I don't know that it's an either or question. I can say that we certainly would appreciate the additional personnel and maintenance. I completely understand council's concerns regarding programming and not wanting to fill that position at this time. It's really up to the board. If you were making a decision for one or the other, I think you just need to balance what it is that's important. Programming begin sooner rather than later, or getting all mowing, all maintenance, all that stuff in-house. I can tell you from a management point of view, having an additional person to help out with day-to-day needs of the park would be a very good thing. We've got a small staff, frankly. If anything goes wrong and one of them is stuck on a project, it's hard to get a lot of things done at one time.
Can I ask something right here? Are we still in that time?
We can go back to public comment, sure.
No, I mean, there was, you asked for.
There is public comment as part of the hearing.
I hear you talking about, and I'm late to this party, right? Okay? About the recreational programming and park maintenance. But when I go through this budget message, it seems like the job application that's listed, the request that's listed just in front of Parks and Recreation was the guy or gal that I said we need to have to enforce zoning and planning code. But it's not listed here, so is there not room for this job, but there's room for a planning
That's a
and a
different,
recreational guy?
that's a different line item.
Yeah, I think you're referring to the part-time position for code
Planning and
enforcement.
zoning, yeah.
Yes.
And that's not listed in that table you had. I'll push on the backside we told them right now,
Right?
on your left hand.
Uh-huh.
That's the pay schedule, which is adopted every year, which basically just sets the salary ranges. And part-time folks aren't listed on that.
Okay. But is it an approved position by council
It depends
to
on
hire this person?
decide they haven't put anything on the budget.
If we approve the budget, it's in the budget.
Great.
I think for me, listening to you explain it in your explanation, I think you're making the case and you're more comfortable with the fact that you need a park maintenance person versus the programs.
Sooner rather than later.
And I think that's the priority. We do have limited staff, and I think somebody who's here who can help do those tasks or can help out in other jobs, that's way more important right now than the recreation program. The programming is important. I don't want anybody to think that we're against that.
Sure.
I think we'll get there, but I think from what you're saying, that the maintenance tech definitely is more important. And if we can mow the grass in house, we just need to do that. I mean, we're already doing 80% of our grass. I mean, So we don't need to contract the remaining 20% out if we have the capability of doing it. That's what I feel about
And possibly if we have a full maintenance position, because Nicole, she's out there helping too, so maybe that frees her up. She could do some smaller scale down programming.
Right.
You know. So maybe we get a little both.
I'm with you there. I think we will get to the programming at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like right now, in this budget, is where we need to be for the program.
Sure.
I would rather see us come in with maintenance, bring all the grass mowing in-house.
Mm-hmm.
It's my two cents.
So that sounds like we kind of have a consensus. What do you need from us as far as that?
Well,
Does the
how
budget have
should we
the,
handle that, Sue? We're creating a new position. Well, we're not creating a new position. We have this position in the budget classified as a park ranger, a park maintenance technician. We would just be adding another person to that job classification. So we just need to change the line items of the park department.
Since we're in a public hearing, I'm not really comfortable changing a lot in the document. So I think because it's a different position
Mm-hmm.
being added, that it would be proper for council to do it by motion, that you're substituting positions. And we would be, you would not be lowering the bottom line of your budget.
Right.
Right, so it would be,
did you want to do that during your public hearing or when we close?
for this, I think you could do it whenever you want to.
Daniel, what,
Yes.
the last full year of our mowing contract,
Mm-hmm.
that we had people that come in and physically mow,
Mm-hmm.
roughly, how much was that? Roughly.
1,500 a month, Yeah.
16.
8,000.
$8,000. There we go.
Okay, you just did that.
Oh, okay.
All right, other discussion? Other questions? Close?
I make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor of closing public hearing? Aye. So now, we want to, with changes? Will that be
Do you need a motion to,
to substitute the position that's currently in the budget for a maintenance instead of programming?
I will make the motion that we remove the recreational programs from the budget and substitute with park maintenance technician.
I'll second that motion.
Can we make adopting the budget part of the same motion? Or do you want separate?
Let's do it separate.
Separate, okay. I was in favor of substituting the programming position, replacing it with parks maintenance position.
For clarification, that's based on the estimate you were given, correct?
Yes.
All those in favor
You're
say
setting
aye.
a salary.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Tell us when you're called up with our Josh. Is there a motion to adopt the budget?
You got it? You got it.
Someone.
I'll make the motion that we adopt the fiscal year, not
21, 22.
2021, 2022. The last year of COVID, so I'll make the motion to adopt it.
Because it's been presented to you as the budget, the construction improvement plan, and two capital reserve resolutions, and the salary and classification study and the fee schedule. Are you comfortable with me listing all of that in your motion?
I am comfortable with you listing those attachments, yes.
Was there a second?
I will second the motion and all its attachments.
All right, all those in favor of adopting the fiscal year 2021-2022 operating budget, capital improvement plan, et cetera, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
And Shay, I wasn't sure if you would be doing that this evening, so all of your documents will be ready for you to sign next week, or next meeting.
So Mr. Walsh, to answer your question from before, that now funds a part-time enforcement position for like an after hours.
Awesome.
Okay, that wraps up our regular agenda. So staff updates, town clerk.
I'm hoping the first of next week to be able to send you all of the current volunteer applications, the ones that I have on hand, and a list of second choices. The list of second choices will also have the districts on there because there is one correction to a current volunteers. I had listed Jeff Moore as District 3. He's in District 2.
And Arlie, tax collector report.
Tax collections have slowed down considerably, but our percentage is still higher than last year, and we're poised to be higher than last year at the end of the month. So I'm looking forward to next year's
Start over.
Start over again. We've got the tax rate.
Thank you, Arlie. The zoning administrators report, Daniel is providing for us.
Sure. So Mike Kowalczyk, our zoning administrator, is out of town this evening, so he sent me a few things I will brief you on. The surgery center, which is at California to Ingalls on 280, the project review is nearly complete. There's a couple little loose ends tied up with the architects on that. That'll be ready to go soon. Circle K, you've seen, has broken ground right next to Bojangles. We are working on we have reviewed their sign permit, waiting on them to actually pay for it. We met with Mike and I met with Dale Reese about his potential food park on Haywood Road out here, just down the road. That was in last week, provided those standards. Spent some time working with Alan Steinbeck as well as Henderson County regarding the watershed protection ordinance. I think I've mentioned this to all of you individually, but I want to make sure the public is aware. Henderson County have been providing watershed administration services for the town for some time. And as of recently, they've discovered that they don't have the legal authority to do that anymore. So we've decided in conversations with the county that it's the best way to handle that is for the town to begin assuming that role, which means we will need to develop a watershed protection ordinance as well as adopting a map. This is all laid out in state law, so there's not a whole lot that we need to tweak or adjust. We need to get it in the format of the town's code. But we're beginning to do that now with hopes that we will present to the planning board in August of this year. We met with the Henderson County Planning Department about some zoning questions that they had and a brief conversation about their comprehensive plan getting ready to begin. We have a rezoning application that is under review for property on the north end of town, the French Broad, on the east side of east side of 280 behind Amazon, for a request to go from light industrial to general residential. It's scheduled for review by the planning board in July. And then we have a number of plans under review. The Mills River Fire Department, Ferncliff, there's a large subdivision proposed, and Hills Machinery is making some slight tweaks to their site plan. And the Cotters at Hayes Mill has submitted applications for their first on them. It's not been quite 2 months yet, so that's pretty fun to see. There's been a couple of days where all 4 chargers have been used at one time. We've had days where we've provided over 10 chargers in a day. So anyway, that's all I have at this point.
Other council comments?
So Jim, I'm glad you brought up the sound system. And since the coronavirus has come about, a lot of our meetings are, a lot of people are attending our meetings via Facebook and Zoom. So we need to get a system, because I went back and looked at our last meeting and tried to understand what was going on, sound wise, and that's why I'm always getting text, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. So we need to find the money to get a system to where we don't have to turn our mics on and off, and everybody can speak that has a microphone in front of them. And we need to make this happen fairly quickly. I'm tired of the mess.
And that was rescue plan money we were gonna be able to use for that, right?
As far as we understand, the rescue plan funding, to answer your question, the town is poised to receive just over $2.1 million. The first half of that could be any day now. And that money can be used for everything that the CARES money could be used for. And several jurisdictions across the state use their funding to upgrade audio visual setups in their meeting spaces so that they can make their meetings more accessible to the public. So we have a very high degree of confidence that we'll be able to use that money for that purpose. It's just a matter of timing. We want to wait until we have cash in hand, or begin obligating funds before we have that. And I don't know the answer to that question at this point. You know, if we have to wait to receive them.
Before we start spending the money, we have to be able to amend our budget. It's required, it shows in your budget, if you're spending the money. Our auditors are okay with us just accepting the funds, and when we're ready to spend them, amending whichever budget year. So as long as we are confident we're getting the money, or you'd be willing to at the next meeting, if you use fund balance, then you can't reimburse your fund balance. So as long as we know we're gonna have the money, then.
So maybe we should just start getting some estimates, getting some pricing,
Certainly.
because that's gonna take forever from what I'm learning with everything else.
Personally, I'm ready to pull it out of fund balance and spend the money. I feel confident that we will be able to spend the federal money that's coming to us anyway. So, it's gonna be 6 one way or half a dozen other. I'd like to see this fixed.
So if you can get some estimates.
Yeah, we'll start on that immediately.
Just FYI, even if we get estimates and have them at the next meeting, there's no way we could have it installed and paid for before the end of the fiscal year.
I understand.
Other council comments?
Is there any way that we can get our tax bills itemized?
You mean like fire department versus town?
Do what I'm saying?
Like fire department versus town?
Yes.
We have them split between the 11 cents and the 8 cents now. But there's some sort of programming, something that they have to do that I'm not sure we can do, but I can check into that.
Okay.
So that it would say Mills River Fire Department, 11 cents, this amount goes to the fire department.
Right.
My only concern with that is that
People
someone's gonna
pay
say,
us part
well,
of
I
it.
don't wanna pay the fire department,
Right.
or I don't wanna pay the town, and they only pay a partial bill. That just makes things more difficult.
Is that Henderson County has an itemized bill.
They do, this is true.
And so I think it's important that although our tax rate is 19 cents, legally it is. But on the surface, the people out there is that they think that the town tax is 19 cents, which they are correct.
Not if they look at the bill. It's very clear that it's 11 cents for the fire department and 8 cents for the town.
Well, yes, you're exactly right. But I'd like to see that split out, not in separate tax bills. Just a line item that says Town of Mills River, 8 cents, whatever it is, and then have the amount. And then the Mills River Fire Department, 11 cents, whatever it is, and their amount. And then that way is that you still come up with the same figure at the bottom of the page, but it explains to them where their money's going and a whole lot better than what we're doing now. Now, it's just like Daniel's first slide, it said 19 cents. Well, if people don't know, then they think that the town tax rate is 19 cents. Technically, it is, but you need to look at that a little bit closer.
Sure.
So, Orleans, if you don't mind, doing research, please,
Sure,
in your
absolutely.
spare time.
Not a problem.
Anything from Brian?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Not much on the agenda.
Yeah.